Once upon a time, the Catholic Church put all of its teachings into one big, long book called the Catechism. Want to know what's in it? Awesome. That Catechism guy is here to explain it all. You're welcome. Hey, everybody. How's it going? No, all right. We'll do something else there. Hey, everybody. That Catechism guy coming at you, this time with a little hot topic. Let's talk about abortion. The number one thing that I always stress anytime I talk about abortion with students or youth groups or adults or anybody is the importance of compassion. No woman is getting an abortion because she's like, oh, hey, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna have an abortion. This will be super fun. I've never gotten one before. This isn't the way that this happens. Women who get an abortion are faced with a really difficult and tough decision, and there's no way for us to be able to judge that person for the decision that they make in a time when they're struggling with suddenly having their entire life changed in a way that was not planned for in any way, shape, or form. So, one, when we talk about all of this, we're keeping in mind compassion. But we want to make sure that we're clear on what the church teaches, which is why, we use the Catechism. 2270. Human life must be respected and protected absolutely from the moment of conception. So the moment of conception, this is when the widow sperm comes flying in and it runs into the egg. Boom! This is conception. This is the moment that human life begins to exist. From the first moment of his existence, the human being must be recognized as having the rights of a person, which is the inviolable right of every innocent being to life. This is why the church is against abortion. It's not because we are anti-women, that we are anti-choice, that we are anti-anything. The reason why the church is against abortion is because we believe that at the moment of conception, that is a life. And like any life, it has the right to exist. So this is why we're against it. This teaching has not changed and remains unchangeable. So this isn't something new that we've come up with. This isn't something that, starting around 1960s or so, we kind of looked at everything or like, I think we're against this. No. This has been, from the beginning, this has been a constant teaching of the church, that we believe that it is a life at the moment of conception, and that fetus's right to existence must be protected. This is where we start to get this is where it starts to get a little bit intense. So formal cooperation in an abortion constitutes a grave offense. Now that's church lingo, right? So when we talk about a mortal sin, there's going to be three aspects to it in order for something to be a mortal sin. One, you have to have free will, right? Someone can't be holding a gun to your head, forcing you to do it, and it still be a mortal sin, right? Because then you didn't really have free will. You couldn't really make this choice for yourself. This is where addiction has a big role in whether or not free will exists. So we got free will. You got full knowledge, right? You have to know that this is a sin. You have to know this is something that you weren't supposed to do. And lastly, it has to be a big deal. It has to be important. This can't be my son hitting his sister because she came up and pulled his hair for the 5 billionth time or stole his toy or whatever. This has to be a big deal. So when they're saying that formal cooperation in abortion constitutes a grave offense, they're highlighting that this is a big deal, that this is important matter. You'll note that it doesn't say mortal sin. Doesn't say that this is automatically a mortal sin, because no one can know that. No one can. We don't get to make that call for someone else. This is why we're stressing with the free will. So a woman gets in this position where she's forced, where she's stuck. She feels trapped and is struggling, and ends up getting an abortion, whether or not she had free will is really up in the air. But abortion is such a big deal that a person who procures a completed abortion incurs excommunication latae sententiae. All right, so just from the fact of doing it, that person is excommunicated. And that sounds horribly harsh with everything that we've just been talking about. But the goal of the church with having that strong a thing is not to be overly harsh, is not to be condemning of a person and saying how horrible they are. That's to misunderstand the purpose and the use of excommunication. The church does not thereby intend to restrict the scope of mercy. Rather, she makes clear the gravity of the crime committed, the irreparable harm done to the innocent who was put to death, as well as to the parents and the whole of society. The goal of the excommunication latentiae sententiae is to help to highlight to the person, hey, wait. We know that all of society is telling you that this is not a big deal, that this is fine, this is okay, but please stop for a moment and think about it. 2273, the inalienable right to life of every innocent human individual is a constitutive element of civil society and its legislation. There are plenty of people who would say that the church does not need to be involved in all this, that there doesn't need to be, this is a woman's right to choose, there doesn't need to be laws about it, there doesn't need to be people forcing women to have children that they didn't want in the first place. The church is going to say that it is a constitutive element of civil society and its legislation, that the right to life from the moment of conception has to be included in any civil society. And to dive into real quick into some of the specific stuff that kind of goes along with abortion. We got prenatal diagnosis is morally illicit. Prenatal diagnosis. This is the idea. This is going into to make sure that everything's okay there, right? So when we had our babies there, I don't even remember the name of some of the stuff. They take a big needle and they shove it in and they pull it out and they pull out some of the embryonic fluid, and this allows them to check to see if there's a likelihood of the child having Down syndrome or any of these sorts of things. So that's all legit and great and completely fine as long as it respects the life and integrity of the embryo and the human fetus and is directed toward its safeguarding. It is gravely opposed to the moral law when this is done with the thought of possibly inducing an abortion, depending on the results. So yes, absolutely, get the test done, see what's going on so you can be prepared for having this child. But if the thought process is, we don't really want a kid with Down syndrome, so we're going to get this checked, and if they have it, well, then I think we might need to get an abortion because we're just not ready for that. The church is going to say that's not okay. Lastly, it is immoral to produce human embryos intended for exploitation as disposable biological material. We believe that an embryo, so we believe that life begins at conception. That's what an embryo is. This is an egg with a sperm where life has started. So we can't treat that for medical experimentation the same that we would treat any other part of our body. This is different. This is special. This is unique. So thank you so much for listening. And remember, the number one thing when we talk about abortion to remember is compassion. Thanks so much.